when you think about, man, they're comparing me to, they're saying I'm the German Rondo. I remember one time that there was something happened to me like that. And Ed Pinckney, they said Ed Pinckney, who played with the Celtics later on, he was a poor man, Cedric Maxwell. I was like, damn, that's a compliment like him for you to say, somebody.
I never heard that.
Poor man. It's not a poor man, Cedric Maxwell.
The Cedric Maxwell Podcast is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
There's another episode of the Cedric Maxwell Podcast. I am Josue Pavone. He is Cedric Maxwell. This episode, just like every episode, is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season with an offer you don't want to miss. I'll tell you more about that later on. That's FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL and the official sponsor of CLNS Media. Max, we got a few things to get into, man. We got Jayson Tatum's recent interview with Jeff Goodman, and he used the word, the phrase Celtics Mount Rushmore. All right, so we'll get into that in a little bit. Also, Noel Lyles, USA track star, response to the backlash. But first things first, Max, we got to talk about Team USA and the FIBA Basketball World Cup. And 113-111, they lose to Germany. Now they still have a chance to medal here, right? They got to win their next game, and they can get that they can come home with the bronze if they're able to beat Canada. But I'm sure Canada's hyped about that. But what's your response here, man? Are you disappointed? Is it a shock? I mean, this thing has happened a handful of times before, but how are you feeling about this one, especially with this specific Team USA roster?
Well, I think it's the roster. Again, U.S. isn't sitting their best. Is Steph Curry there? Jayson Tatum? I mean, You're not playing with your best players. No offense at all to the other teams who are out there, but you're not sending your best players. I think your best players normally go to the Olympics, and if it was more in the Olympics, I'd be more disappointed. But with these World Games, I'm not as disappointed, and it really shows you that the game is a world game now. One time the U.S. dominated it all the time; it was automatic. But now everybody plays basketball. I know they love to talk about soccer and or football, as they would say, but basketball is probably played more than any other sport, I would think, because you can do it by yourself. Soccer, you can't play soccer by yourself. Basketball, you can go play basketball by yourself. All you need is a hoop and a ball. That's it. Yeah. And a lot of times people like you and your brother back in the day, y'all made your own hoop and had your own basket, which was in the house, which was a Nerf ball where Joel was trying to dunk on you or you trying to dunk on him. And
Max, sometimes it was like that. Sometimes it was a rolled up, a pair of socks. That was the ball. Yeah, and we're gonna use this laundry basket as our hoop. It was something like that.
And that shows you really how the game can be played. So I guess I'm saying all this it's a global game, and there are teams now who have gotten better. I think you look at the global game now and you start to say, man, what players? Somebody asked me the other day, said, name me a great white player in the NBA. And I said, that's from America. And I said, wait a minute. Jokic, no. Doncic, no.
Well, look, I was going to say some of the best. You can list the top 5, and most of them aren't from America, right?
Yeah, not from America. So it just really shows you how this game has become a global game, and it's going to be different. There are going to be different results. So far as this is concerned, I am not as disappointed as people might say. But Noel Lyles, I heard kind of what he said, slapping back at NBA players because
he was probably smiling.
What were they saying about his championship? It wasn't a World Cup, or what were they saying?
So he was upset because it's bothered him forever, for the longest time, I guess, that the NBA, when they crown its champion, it's the world champion, Denver Nuggets, the world champion Celtics. In his mind, it's like, wait a minute, you didn't play against the best teams in the world. But everyone, obviously, from the backlash, it was just all about the fact that the NBA is the best league in the world.
You're right.
That's the goal for most players.
And you top that off with the players you talk about. These are players in the world that you talk about. The guys from, Germany, the guys from, wherever they're, playing basketball. Jokic, I think he's an NBA player. And so if you beat him, you're on the world stage. So I think that you are playing against the world's best when you win an NBA championship. Now, during my particular era, maybe it wasn't said as much because you didn't play against the European players. You didn't play against those guys. But now it's a global game, so everybody plays it, and it really is a world championship.
Right. Well, that's another thing too, though. I mean, most people are frustrated or they laugh at that comment because they're like, wait, these international players are coming here. You know what I mean? It's not a case of like, oh, there's not enough international talent or, the rest of the world is catching up. I mean, yeah, they're catching up. And it's evident by looking at these NBA players, the top NBA players. I mean, shit, Joel Embiid, the MVP, Jokic. You got Giannis Antetokounmpo. None of those guys were born in America. You know what I mean? Like, that's how global this sport has become. So, when are you going to address the elephant in the room? Well, I just wanted to.
When you start talking about Giannis saying, I am not going to sign, I'm not going to re-sign with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Well, he's waiting to see how Adrian Griffin pans out first. So I think that's interesting, right? Your boy.
And all I've heard is he said, I am not re-signing with the Bucks.
All right, so real quick, before we get into that, though, what are the odds? We got two former Celtics players that were big for this Germany team, man. They came up huge. Dennis Schroeder and Daniel Theis, man.
Theis.
I'm so happy for them. I mean, you got Schroeder. He shot like 57%, 17 points, a game high 9 assists. You got Theis going 10 for 15 from the floor, 21 points, 7 rebounds. I mean, these guys came to play, man. Obviously, this thing came down to the wire.
Daniel Theis is a good player. And I think that, as long as you don't have Bam Adebayo in front of him, he couldn't, that matchup was just not a good one for him. But Theis had been playing really well up until then, and you were able to move Theis and find yourself getting other players because of Daniel Theis, how effective he was. Dennis Schroeder leaves and, goes to LA, goes back to LA, and plays well enough. He was considered at that time the German Rondo. And he plays, I think offensively, he's probably a better version of Rondo, shooting the basketball from the outside. Rondo, better playmaker. But I can see the similarities of who those guys were and what a tribute it is when you think about, man, they're comparing me to, they're saying I'm the German Rondo. I remember one time that there was something happened to me like that. And Ed Pinckney, they said Ed Pinckney, who played with the Celtics later on, he was a poor man Cedric Maxwell. I was like, damn, that's a compliment like him for you to say, somebody.
I never heard that.
Poor man, it's not a poor man Cedric Maxwell. So that was really cool.
That's fine. I didn't know that. You must have put a smile on your face when you heard that.
yeah, those things. But just the way I've been so fortunate, and I think about when I was a young kid, and I've had a lot of people walk up to me many times in my life and say, "I used to be you in the park," and I was like, they couldn't stop me. And my name, I'm like, I'd score them back. Cornbread scores, cornbread. So those are really cool things. I think back how I was when I played, that I was somebody else when I was in the park, and then for somebody to be you in the park playing, that's a really a cool thing.
It's interesting you bring up Giannis because I've never seen, just from print, right? Because of the interview and everything he was saying about he's not fully going to commit to this team until he sees how this season unfolds. But it's like, I get the feeling, I should say, that Giannis just didn't see a first round knockout ever happening, man. And he's like, listen, if you want to go ahead and get a new coach and everything, this guy better be it, because I'm not staying here if that's not the case. He sees what Boston's doing. He sees what, obviously what Miami pulled off. Philly's a mess. And he's like, man, when are we going to get it together? But then at the same time, Max is like, wait, isn't this the team that you wanted? Isn't this the roster that you asked for? Does it really come down to the coach?
But isn't it also just wait?
I don't understand that, Max.
Didn't you just win a championship? Didn't you just win it? You won a chip. Whereas most people in the NBA are screaming. The Charles Barkleys of the world who've never won one. People, tease him to this day. But Giannis was able to go get a chip. What did he say when he dropped the 50 piece, as he said, when he went to Chick-fil-A, give me a 50 piece. When he dropped the 50 on Phoenix at that time.
Phoenix,
so I think that it. Sometimes with NBA players, I think it depends on what day it is, what time it is, and frankly, that's how it is with the way they play.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. That's guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. It absolutely is. The app is easy to use, and you can be on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston. Kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Yeah, because to me, Max,
and what they want.
To me, Mac, this is more about the roster. This is about the rest of the Eastern Conference, not only catching up to them, but going past them. You know what I mean? Chris Middleton hasn't been the same player. Drew Holiday was slotted into that number 2 spot. That's not a bad thing, but they need some more of that supporting cast to improve that supporting cast. And they weren't able to do that because, in my opinion, Giannis is so faithful and so all about his teammates that he didn't want to switch things up. And for him to say like, oh no, this is about the coach, and I'm not quite sure about the coach, it's just like, is this really about the coach? Do you really think that Coach Budenholzer could bring this team back all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals next year? Like, do you really believe that? I don't know, Giannis.
Yeah, I think it does. But so many times I've heard Charles Barkley talk about that. He said he was mad at Shaq because he said, "Hell, you won one of the great teams. You had Kobe Bryant with you," and Barkley said, "Who did I have with me? Bob Marley." But he did have, I think Steve Nash was there.
Yeah, Marley. Yeah.
So he had certain players who were there who played with him. But, I just think, Steve Nash, wasn't there. He had moved on to
no. You're talking about, You mean the Kevin Johnson team and Dan Marley.
And Barkley had some players, but he didn't have those all-star players. And those all-star players sometimes make a difference. It's like people forever have said, well, Michael Jordan never would have won without Scottie Pippen, or vice versa. They wouldn't have won with him. But Scottie Pippen's, ex-wife, what is she doing right now with Michael Jordan? Michael's son. Oh, it's too soon.
Would that take about 15 minutes to bring that shit back up, man? Yeah, they're about to get married, man. That's the new rumor.
Woo! Boy, no.
What's that guest list going to look like?
Daddy knows best here. Okay, son, don't do it. Don't do it to yourself.
Who makes the guest list? Who makes the guest list? Come on.
It won't be Michael. It will not be Michael. It will not be Michael. What was that?
Got to pull up, man. That's his son.
What was that song? What was that song your boy had that you love so much with Jamie Foxx?
Oh, Gold Digger.
Wow, you nailed that.
Come on, Kanye. I made the connection real quick.
Say it. Yay! What do you have? Go. She wants my money all the time.
Could be a little bit of that going on. Could be potentially. Hey, what if it's love? What if it's love, Max? Could be real love. You never know.
Gold digger. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I think she has a proven track record, doesn't he, Josue? What she's done. So I think that Michael's looking at it going, son, what? No, don't. And if you're a father, and now that you are a uncle, Josue, you can speak on this of what you want for your niece.
That's right.
If you see a bum out there and your niece is with him, what you gonna say?
Yeah, that ain't it. That ain't it right there.
Nah.
We're gonna get rid of this loser.
Nah, we ain't. So you're saying this about Michael?
You could be real. You could be real with Theo. All right, you don't want to tell your dad. All right, it's cool, but be real with me. You know this ain't the one, right? Come on.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what Michael's saying. Michael's saying the same thing, like But we all make mistakes, and hopefully this doesn't cost him. What you think is love or what could be love, sometimes might not be love. But only he knows, I guess. But man, it has really stirred up something down here in the Charlotte community about what happened and Michael not giving his blessings about that.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, not the whole story, but the fact that like the Charlotte community is like, man, this is hot news right now because of connections to MJ. All right, let's get to this, man. Jeff Goodman, a recent interview with Jayson Tatum. He interviewed him as an article on the Messenger, and he talked about ultimately becoming one of Celtics' Mount Rushmore. And this is exactly what he had to say. I would love to be on the Mount Rushmore of the Celtics, said Tatum. Bird, Russell, Paul Pierce, and those guys, they paved the way. The one thing all those guys had is chips. I have to get to the top of the mountain to even be considered as one of those guys. I want to be an all-time great. I want to be known as a winner, and I believe I will be. End quote. Max, what do you think about that?
I think it's great that he says that. He identifies that. He looks at the history of this team, and he's embracing it. Because a lot of times guys will be like, hell with all that. He's going, barring his health, and being healthy, he'll be one of the great scorers. He'll probably be the best scorer in the history of the Celtics if he stays healthy.
No question. And if he stays around, right?
I think that now what you start to, but the way you really put yourself in Celtics allure is by, getting the ring. Paul Pierce, how did he finally get there? Got him a chip. How did Kevin Garnett get there? Ray Allen, those guys got rings. And at the end of the day, it is, as much as you want to say not, it is true to sometimes to validate your play in the NBA, you have to come up with a ring.
Mm-hmm. No question. But I feel like
I like what he said. I really like what he said.
Me too. And the biggest reason for me is that it's not just about winning a championship, it's that allegiance he has, you know what I mean, to Boston, to the Celtics. Like, I love that, right? We talked about that a couple episodes ago. Like, yeah, he hasn't done it yet, but we for a few years, I'm like, man, I want to see him do one of these with the Celtics uniform. Look at the crowd, but hey, I love it here. You know what I mean? This screams that. This rings that. It's not just about championship. Not just about, I'm going to be a champion or my legacy. No, this is about having my name etched into Celtics lore. Like, being one of those greats. So
being one of those dudes is so important. I mean, It was just like, I felt like I was somewhat one of those dudes when I played. But then when I had my jersey retired, I'm like, man, I'm one of those dudes. I'm one of those dudes.
Is that what solidified it for you, for real?
Well, I mean, yeah, that probably at the end did, because you can never come in that building and say, who is number 31? Who is that? And that will always be identified with me. Not Mikey Moore, not dead Fred Roberts. No.
I love how you know every player who's won that.
No, not those. I think Xavier McDaniels might even
X-Men wore 31.
Number 30. So there were some people, but at the end, Mikey Moore. Okay.
That shit must have pissed you off something awful.
Yeah, that was at that point where. Okay.
All right. Well, why don't you give us the story? How'd you get that call? How'd you get that? How'd you get the heads up when you first found out?
The owners, the governors of the team, Wick and Pags, they came over to me and said, "What we want to do? We want to retire your jersey." I was like, "Wow!" I said, "Wow!" I said, "So cool, man." I said, "That is so cool." And that's all I could think about. And then when I got to the actual ceremony to see Red Auerbach give me a backhanded slap, that just was like uncool. As he told me, he said, you were he looked at me, you were a pretty good player, but you weren't Paul Silas. Paul Silas. Paul Silas couldn't carry my fucking jock, man. I love Paul. Paul Silas was my guy. I love Paul Silas, but when Red said that to me, from all these people on my day, I guess that was his way again of bringing me back down. My big day, and you're not Paul Silas. All right.
But that's love right there. That's love.
That's a backhanded slap, Joseph. I'm sorry. That's how that works out. So it was so funny.
All right. Well, the beginning of that story was great. I guess it didn't end the way I thought it would, but that's awesome, man. I didn't know that they had approached you like that, like in person.
Yeah, they approached me like that. So for Tatum, I like what's being said. I like his stance.
Right.
Like, I want to be one of the great Celtics of all time, and that resonates with players who've been there, who've done that, and I want to see him succeed, just like I wanted Paul Pierce. I was there when he finally got his chip, and man, Paul Pierce just came out just tears running down his face, and I thought that I thought you'd be there to wipe him away, Josue.
Shut up.
Boy, you are a Paul Pierce jock. I said Paul Pierce jock sniffer. Oh,
I was all right. Take it easy there, Max. All right, take it easy there. All right. I was a kid. All right, Max. I was a kid. I grew up around that time. Hey, listen. The ultimate underdog. All right, real underdogs can relate in this city.
Underdog. Paul Pierce is never underdog. He's always been a great player.
Get out of here, Max. Nobody was calling him that until KG came along, until Ray Allen came along.
No, that's not true. Paul, how do you think he got that name? This is before. How did he get the name?
Shaq solidified him in 01, but after 02, when he was balling out, everybody was like, it's like what he said, I'm a great player on a bad team, and everyone hated it when he said that. It was like he didn't get enough respect.
He was a great player. He was still a great player. If you go back in that draft right now, that particular year, I think Olowokandi was taken number 1.
Yep.
Now you look at Dirk was in that draft and Paul was in that draft.
9 and 10.
Dirk, I would take Dirk number 1. But Paul Pierce is going to be my second pick. And Paul Pierce always said he felt like he should have been the second player in the draft. For him to drop down to the Celtics, that was a blessing for the Theis.
I just feel like people forget about that prime Paul, and I think that has a lot to do with him saying all this stuff when when he's on an interview and when guys are egging him on because they know that he's not going to step down for what he thinks. That's why he's saying this stuff. Like, listen, man, go on YouTube, like he says to the kids. Like he tells them because he's like, man, they don't put him up there as high as he should be.
I love when he said, "I'm as good as D Wade." Now let me look at your face. Let me ask you a question. Because you're a Paul Pierce fan. Was Paul Pierce as good as D Wade?
One-on-one individually?
Yes. Don't get your shifty eyes looking away, okay? Look right at me here, okay? Was he as good as was he better than D Wade?
Was he better? No, he didn't ask that. He said, was he as good? Yes, he was as good as D Wade. D Wade had a better career.
He said, I had a better career than D Wade. Paul Pierce actually said that.
I don't agree with that. But I do think he's talent-wise, I think he's as good.
That was no question. Paul Pierce. Okay. Paul Pierce was.
Hey, you better look at that camera and talk to the new generation because they think there's a gap. They think there's a gap.
Paul Pierce was a bitch, and he could play the game not only offensively but defensively. So a couple of times where Kobe had the jump shot going to fall away, Paul Pierce was able to block that jump shot. So Paul had a lot. He had a lot of clubs, a lot of clubs in his bag, and he was able to utilize them, but it didn't really come true until he played with KG and that team to really put him in the upper echelon of the NBA. Before that, I'll agree with you. He was a great player on a bad team, and that doesn't equate to getting any respect in this league.
He also went toe-to-toe with two of the best players in 08 to get that title. Against LeBron, against Kobe. He's like, hold on, Ray, let me guard Kobe in this final. Like that comeback.
That's true. That's two of the greatest players of all time. You had to battle them to win the championship. So, again, kudos go to Paul Pierce.
Absolutely. All right, we'll get you out on this one, Max. Noah Lyles. in a recent interview with GQ. I guess he's had a week or 10 days or so to digest everything and all the backlash for what he said about the NBA crowning champions as the world champs. He says, and I quote on GQ, "To be honest, I truly think the NBA is the best, but there's a level of not understanding the two sides of sports. There's the national side and there's the world side. And you can't have the world championship title without facing the rest of the world." What do you think about that?
I just talked about it, Josue. You just asked me that. I just said, again, you're playing against the world's best.
Exactly.
No Lyles. Hold on. Look at this. Clap back, okay? No, these are the best players right now in the world you're playing against. So, yes, you're playing against the best players when you have Jokic, when you have you can go on all these different. These are the best players in the world. Doncic, right. Best player in the world. You can just name the guys that you play against, and if you win a championship that way, it's gonna be Joel Embiid. Is he not one of the best in the world? Giannis, is he not one of the best in the world? And they happen to play in your league. So,
and why does the title bother him so much? Like, it's just a title, man. Like, it's not
I think people are always slapping back at that profession because they don't have as many opportunities to advance their cause money-wise. I think that that you can look at a couple of runners right now and you're going, man, Usain Bolt took it to another level. Yeah. Can Noah Lyles take it to another level with his ability to run? Usain Bolt was a showman. He was a showman.
That was crazy. That was a crazy time.
Yeah, and so I don't think can he even be in that vein? I think it's going to. And what it takes though is the Olympics too. Noah Lyles is he? I don't think that he's not an Olympic champion, is he? If he's not, then you think of Usain Bolt. He won three different Olympics. He was able to win his events. Not one, 3 events, and they happen every 4 years.
Every 4 years, that one race.
That's what I'm saying. I can remember Usain Bolt. Places he ran. I remember him running in Japan. I remember in London, and I remember down in Brazil. So those were 3 different places that he was able, when it was a world's game like that, he was able to elevate his game. And I think that's what people are talking about.
Right. Well, just to I just want to get it out there because I'm sure someone will say something in the comment section. He got the bronze in Tokyo, the 200 meter.
But what's the bronze gonna do for you? What you do with the bronze medal?
I'm just saying. But yeah, we got one medal.
What you do with the bronze medal? I'm talking about. In
2023, Max, people are gonna say something in the comments.
I know you're right, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
But you just said the gold, right?
But he is the most dominant runner that we've ever seen. The most dominant, the most talented, and for him where he's at, that's a whole nother level. And to win in the Olympics the way he did in these Olympic events, that was crazy.
Right. No question. I mean, sometimes I wonder if with this tournament and the NBA was exploring different options, if that was one of the things on the table, like trying to have other club teams go up against the Celtics or whoever else. But I'm sure the logistics and everything just wouldn't work.
First of all, Josue, explain this to me. What is this inter league mid-season tournament? What is that?
They're trying to spice things up, Max. They're trying to throw some incentive to win some extra money and just mix up.
Wait a minute. Do you realize that these guys might win like $1 million a piece or something like that? You know what it's going to do what $1 million would do for Jayson Tatum's account? Now, for my account, oh hell! But for Jayson Tatum's account or Jaylen Brown, hold on a minute. He just signed for $300 million. I'm finna play in a game that I can make $1 million. Really?
Yeah, but what about paying Pritchard? That's a lot of money for him.
Certain players, I get it, but I'm talking about your star players, the guys who generate attention for this particular event. The Jayson Tatums of the world, $1 million is not going to change the way. It might change Pritchard. It will change most common people. It will change me. But for $1 million for a Jaylen Brown, who just signed for $307 million, they're going to change that's not changing his life. So I'm still trying to figure out this mid-season game and what it does and the players. But, the NBA has always been great at marketing its product. So I'm sure that they've researched it and they kind of know what they want to do or what they need to do. I
just wonder, if teams are going to bench guys, you know what I mean? Like, how serious are some head coaches going to take this? What if they're like, you know what? I don't really want to play this guy. Are they going to always play their best players? Like, what's the incentive? I thought it would have been interesting if they did something else.
The games are going to count, though. The games are
they're going to count. Right, I get that.
They're going to count in the standings, so that is better than the All-Star game.
Right, but
All-Star game doesn't count in the standings.
But the title game, you know what I mean? Like, leading up to it, they're going to be playing in Vegas, the traveling, the schedule, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like if it was something like a first-round pick or something like that.
Hold on a minute, Josue. Let me start crying. Whoa,
I'm not saying
players. Oh my God.
I don't feel bad for them.
They got to travel. Oh my God, they got to go to Vegas. They got to play
if they want to win.
Oh, hold on a minute. Please. This, you know what this is right here? The world's smallest record player playing My Heart Bleeds for You. Okay, come on. I mean, I am not a hater on NBA players, but look,
hold on, Max.
I've been able to touch some of their lifestyle by the hotels they stay in, by the way they travel. If you tell you what, let's transport some of these guys back during the 70s or the early 80s and let them have to stay at the Holiday Inn where they got shuffleboard, or you flying on a commercial plane and where you got somebody's grandmother waking you up. Excuse me, can you sign this autograph? My son just my baby.
Do you guys have the trophy?
Please, I mean, come on. Just wait. Think of it this way. Can you imagine winning a world championship now and the fans storm the court? Storm the court.
Oh, man.
1981, storm the court.
Imagine the content on social media.
Storm the court. People running onto the court. That never would happen now. So there are things which have changed, some of them for the better and some of them for the worse. I mean, I wish there was a little bit more, dare I say it, a little bit more violence. I happen to like fisticuffs and
you mean like
chirping, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Because what it does to me, it spices the product up that much more. That you don't know the unknown. Now these guys are afraid to. The last one that got punched like that was Kobe Bryant. Chris Childs gave him a 2-piece.
Someone else got it worse.
Rondo versus
Paul, man. Rondo gave him the 2-piece and the biscuit. That was a few years back.
That wasn't bad.
But no, that Chris Childs.
Rondo spit in his face. The Chris Childs was like boom, boom, boom.
It was like 1-2.
Kobe was like, took that like, okay, all right.
But then he looked back at Chris like, did that just happen? Like, damn, bro, you about that life? Like, he was shocked, man. Everyone go Google that. I mean, go YouTube that. It's up there, man. That was like, and Chris Childs looking at him like, yeah, bro, it's like that. Like, I'm like that.
Yeah. You said you're about that life.
Kobe's look was like, damn. Chris Childs like, yeah, man. I'm a real one.
I'm about that life, man. I'm
about that life. What's up?
Should we give
Rick Fox grabbing Kobe like, yo, forget it.
Do we give a shout out to Coach Prime right now for what's going on in Colorado?
All right, man, go ahead. Do your thing, man. They beat Nebraska, right?
Colorado just won the second game.
Yeah, that's right.
The pundits were saying that the Colorado Buffalo were only going to win 2 games this year. Well, the first 2 games they played so far, they won both of them. And shout out to
Dion.
just the way Prime Yeah. It's the way Deion Sanders has been. Just you got to give him. Now he could lose because he got Michigan and all these other teams on the schedule. But man, I tell you what, if he ran for governor right now in the state of Colorado, he's in.
He'd have a chance.
That's how popular he is, and his name, which I thought was really cool, is bigger than most NFL coaches right now. And they asked him a question I thought was so cool. I didn't get a chance to hear the answer, but they asked him if he would want to coach the Dallas Cowboys. Wow. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
This could just be the beginning, man. It really wouldn't surprise me at this point. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. He took on this challenge, and he's just smiling at all his doubters, man. It's incredible stuff, man. You look at a program like that. Now they're ranked. You know, they haven't been ranked. I don't think ever. Right? It's the first time.
Here's the thing. I think is funny. I had some friends over today, and they were looking at the game, and they said, "Oh, his son right now is in the running right now for the Heisman Trophy." I said, "They've only played one game, now 2 games, and you're already in the running."
Yeah.
So I think that the hype machine, until Colorado gets blasted, the hype machine is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you got to give, you got to give Deion Sanders, credit. He goes on down the line. You can't break me because you didn't make me. I'm a difference maker. I won all, and he has. He's won every place he's gone. So you got to give him more props. And man, we'll see what happens when Colorado plays again. This is really a cool story.
Oh man, 100%. I just love the press conferences, man. It's got like a WWF vibe. You know what I mean? Like back in the day where they give their little speeches in between the matches and stuff. It's like, it's like him against everybody else, and the team is just playing for him. And they're all committed.
Me against the world, baby. Me against the world. So, and I love what he says, because he said, "Look, hell, I don't even play, but I'm fully invested right now, or people are fully invested in him in the news, because I know Shannon Sharp is going to be, your guy Shannon Sharp's going to be all over this one.
That's my dude.
With Prime winning, he's going to be all over this one with the Colorado Buffaloes, because there was one guy who said, Colorado is horrible. They can't do this. They can't do that. Deion won that first game, and the guy had to eat crow. What is he going to eat this week?
I know, right? Every week's gonna have to have some kind of excuse or some sort of like cop out as to why they keep winning. That's the fun part, man.
Absolutely.
We'll see how far it goes, man. We'll see what happens next week. Of course, another episode of the Cedric Maxwell Podcast. Got a special guest coming up at some point. I don't want to break any hearts, so we're gonna just surprise y'all. Maybe it's next week. So you gotta stay tuned for that.
All right, brother.
I can't wait. That's going to do it for this episode of the Cedric Maxwell Podcast. Subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. And on any platform where you listen to us, this Cedric Maxwell Podcast. He is Cedric Maxwell. I am Josue Pavone. And we'll see you guys next week.
New FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV.